Our first keynote speaker, whom we are really privileged to have with us, is Ms. Ann Phillips, who's currently serving as the administrator of the Department of Transportation's Maritime Administrations. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here to join you all and very grateful to JTTI for inviting me and to the Edwin O. Reischauer Center for hosting this exceptional event. A special thank you to Ambassador Yamada for his remarks, to Vice Minister Terada, to Chairman Chukuri. Sir, thank you very much for inviting me again, and to Director Shashira for joining us all today. It's an honor to speak at this 2024 Symposium on Economic Security related to sea lane safety, and certainly the theme of sea lane safety and supply chain resilience for economic security is most relevant as we consider the current geopolitical environment and the many challenges that have been mentioned already this afternoon. We value this opportunity to address the challenges and opportunities in ensuring safety of our sea lanes, which are so crucial to both of our national and global economies. Indeed, sea lanes in the Indo-Pacific serve as arteries of global commerce, responsible for the movement of over 50% of the world's shipping tonnage. They connect nations and deliver goods to ensure our economies thrive. For Japan, an island nation that relies on maritime transport for virtually all of its trade volume, interestingly, much like the US, the safety and security of these sea lanes are paramount. At MARAD, at the Maritime Administration, our focus is the promotion and development of the US maritime industry to ensure our nation's economic and national security needs are met. In the United States, the Maritime Administration, the Federal Maritime Commission, and the US Coast Guard and other federal agencies are similarly focused on enhancing both our economic and national security to ensure our maritime industry is productive, but from different perspectives. However, international sea lanes, so crucial to global trade and economic stability, are increasingly under threat, as evidenced by the ongoing worldwide security challenges we have mentioned today. I would like to talk first about safety and resilience of our most important resource, that of our people, our mariners, and our maritime workforce. Both Japan and the US face the issue of an aging maritime workforce, and we struggle to attract and retain younger mariners. At MARAD, we do not regulate, but we do convene. And after convening a summit on mariner workforce development in September of 2022, we derived 4 key pillars to focus on the growth of our industry: to recruit, train, retain, and reduce barriers to entry. Based on reports of various very serious incidents of bullying, harassment, and sexual harassment, and even assault at sea, we have taken action through innovative programs like the Embark, Every Mariner Builds a Respectful Culture program. Established in December of 2021, this program provides a sexual assault prevention and response program for the maritime industry and is designed to ensure a safe and respectful work environment for mariners, particularly for cadets participating in Sea Year programs at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. Embark became law in 2023. It aligns with additional requirements for the safety of mariners at sea in the Coast Guard Act of the same year. You may hear some of that from Rear Admiral Wayne Arguin, with whom we partner very closely on these initiatives. Under this standard, U.S. flag, privately owned, commercially operating vessels and vessel operators in international trade must comply with specific policies and procedures before they may host cadets from the Merchant Marine Academy or state academies. And they must host those cadets by law to be a part of some of our programs, which I will speak about momentarily. Ultimately, the program improves life at sea for all mariners, driving a long-needed culture change across the industry and helping to attract and retain a more diverse pool of talent to ensure an adequate mariner workforce. This work coupled with the more recent convening this year on mariner work-life balance, continues our focus on building a stronger, sustainable workforce for our future. As we look to build resilience in our industry and our supply chain, it is equally vital to ensure that they remain resilient in the face of global challenges. Our people are a part of this. They are an essential part. As we all saw firsthand during COVID how fragile these supply chains can be, we learned many lessons the hard way. For countries like the US and Japan, our economies, again, depend heavily on exports and imports delivered at sea. We learned from the pandemic that we need to build capacity and resilience into our supply chain processes broadly. At MARAD, under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the US invested an unprecedented under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the U.S. invested an unprecedented $1 trillion in our nation's infrastructure. $17 billion of that is involved in grant opportunities that may support port infrastructure. $2.25 billion of that is invested in the Maritime Administration across 5 years, dedicated to port infrastructure development. This is the 4th year of that program. So far, we have awarded nearly $2 billion in appropriations, grants, across the nation and its territories for port infrastructure. These grants are providing a generational opportunity for change to strengthen our supply chain reliability, where items enter and leave our nation, to expand our global commerce. Another MARAD funding program, the U.S. Marine Highway Program, invests in our nation's inland and coastal waterways. Between 2010, when the program was created, and 2023, we've invested $103 million across grants eligible for this particular program. We've also recognized the need to revitalize our commercial fleet. Our voluntary intermodal sea lift agreement and maritime security programs are the cornerstone of commercial sea lift and have been for us in international trade for 3 decades. Specifically, the Maritime Security Program, and you may hear more about that later today, supports 60 commercially viable dry bulk, container, and roll-on, roll-off vessels under U.S. flag in international trade. We also recently launched a similar tanker security program that now supports 10 commercially viable tankers, and we have an authority to move to 20, which we hope will be appropriated in the future. In all, including these vessels and others under U.S. flag, our commercial fleet of large ocean-going merchant vessels in international trade stands at 94. That will stun you with the modest nature of the number. It is a far cry from where we need to be, but at still higher numbers than we have seen in a decade. We have a long way to go. To safeguard our economic security, the U.S. and Japan have committed to enhancing the resilience of maritime supply chains, and in a recent summit reaffirmed our shared vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific and established frameworks for stronger cooperation on supply chain resilience, maritime cybersecurity, and the use of clean energy in shipping. As we transition to renewable energy resources, vessels critical to offshore wind are of particular interest to us. And so within MARAD, we have an opportunity to designate such vessels as vessels of national interest. That gives us an opportunity for those companies seeking to leverage financing from our loan guarantee program known as Title 11 to specifically focus on building these vessels. This also helps us simultaneously strengthen our internal shipbuilding industry while advancing clean energy goals. The U.S. and Japan, along with other allies in the Indo-Pacific region, are working to build a more resilient supply chain. And recently, the established Supply Chain Center, a Department of Commerce and International Trade Administration effort, is one example of this commitment. Our shared vision, reaffirmed during the Japan-U.S. Summit and G7 Ministers' Declaration earlier this year, is clear. A free and open Indo-Pacific relies on a secure and stable sea lane. As we focus on the resilience of supply chains, it's crucial to address another global challenge, climate change, and the need to reduce carbon emissions. As our economies work together, we are both committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions from ships and port operations. I know we are collaborating on green shipping technology and green shipping corridors, including hydrogen and ammonia-fueled vessel opportunities and refueling opportunities. Through our marine highway and port infrastructure development programs, our ports are being upgraded through a focus on electrification and other means to reduce emissions and use renewable energy. Greener ports will improve environmental sustainability, but also create economic opportunities and build resilience. Finally, as we work to reduce carbon emissions, we also hold a particular interest in maritime safety at sea. Under our broader maritime transportation system, I'd like to talk about a program we are spearheading, Safe Maritime Transportation System, which is a confidential near-miss reporting system for the U.S. maritime industry. You might ask yourself why this is new or novel. It is commonly done in aviation. But indeed, there has been no coherent system across industry from the commercial perspective that reported near-miss opportunities in a confidential way so that all across industry could learn from these examples. We have a collection of data that we have been working on with voluntarily from industry partners to be analyzed, assessed, and to help us identify critical safety-related trends that can prevent incidents in the future. We've completed a pilot project with a number of participating companies and are now expanding the program, which we hope to build to improve safety broadly across our industry. Also, from a context of maritime security, as we work to improve safety, we must deal with the expansion of security threats. They contribute to worldwide volatility in many of the places that have already been mentioned: Ukraine, South China Sea, Houthi attacks in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. For both the United States and Japan, security of sea lanes is not only a matter of economic importance, it is a matter of national survival. Our collaboration through multilateral initiatives, including the Free and Open Indo-Pacific Strategy and joint capacity-building exercises with the Quad nations, will help us ensure these critical maritime corridors are open, safe, and secure. Before I conclude, I would like to propose a challenge as we talk through our panels here today. As industry leaders, policymakers, and experts, how can we best collectively leverage technical innovations to build and enhance safety and security of our sea lanes and build a sustainable and reliant maritime industry for our future? We'll think about the steps we can achieve together to take these goals, and I look forward to hearing your ideas during our discussions. Thank you again. In closing, I would like to emphasize the safety and stability of our industry is more important than the responsibility of any one nation. It will require ongoing teamwork, collaboration, and innovation, and a shared commitment to the principles of security, transparency, and respect for international law. We can work together to safeguard our sea lanes, build resilient supply chains, and ensure economic security for generations to come. Thank you, and I look forward to our very important conversations today.